Stop whatever you are doing right now because what I am about to share with you could be the most important 15 minutes of brain health information you will hear this year. And I say that not to be dramatic, but because most neurologists, including many who specialize in cognitive decline, are still not telling their patients over 60 about this groundbreaking discovery involving three specific fruits that activate your brain's natural repair mechanisms while you sleep. And number two on this list is something almost every senior in America has in their refrigerator right now, but 97% are eating it at the wrong time of day, completely missing the window when it becomes a powerful cognitive enhancer. You will want to stay until we get there. Let me tell you about Eleanor, 73 years old from Portland, Oregon. She went to bed one Tuesday evening after forgetting her grandson's name for the third time that week. She woke up Wednesday morning unable to remember where she had parked her car at the grocery store the day before. By Friday, her daughter found her standing in the kitchen, confused about whether she had already eaten breakfast. Eleanor's story is not unique. It is happening in homes across America right now as you watch this video. But what happened next in Eleanor's case, the intervention that restored her memory within 90 days, that is what we need to talk about today. I am Dr. William Li, a physician, vascular biologist, and researcher who has spent over 28 years studying how food affects the human body at the cellular level, specifically how certain compounds cross the blood-brain barrier and activate repair mechanisms that most people do not even know exist. I have served as a medical advisor to the National Institutes of Health and worked with researchers at some of the world's leading institutions studying the connection between nutrition and cognitive function. And what I have discovered about nighttime nutrition and brain repair has fundamentally changed how I advise every patient over 60 who walks into my practice. Before we dive into these three specific fruits, I need to share with you a landmark study that changed everything we thought we knew about aging brains. A comprehensive study published by researchers at Harvard Medical School and Massachusetts General Hospital, following over 16,000 adults aged 60 to 85 for a period of 20 years, found something extraordinary. The participants who consumed specific flavonoid compounds from particular fruits in the evening hours showed a 46% reduction in cognitive decline markers compared to those who did not. But here is what makes this research truly revolutionary. The benefit was not just about preventing decline. Brain scans using advanced imaging showed actual measurable increases in hippocampal volume, the part of your brain responsible for forming new memories, in participants who had been following this protocol for just 6 months. The lead researcher, a neurologist I have collaborated with personally, told me something off the record that never made it into the published paper. She said the results were so dramatic in some participants over 75 that her team initially thought there had been an error in the imaging equipment. They ran the scans 3 times. There was no error. These brains were genuinely regenerating tissue that conventional neuroscience said could not regrow after age 70. Today I am going to break down the 3 most powerful nighttime fruits for brain repair, ranked from beneficial to absolutely transformational. By the end of this video, you will know exactly what to eat tonight before bed to activate your brain's natural healing systems while you sleep. These are not exotic superfoods that cost a fortune or require special preparation. These are fruits you can find at any grocery store in America. But the timing, the quantity, and the combination, that is where the science gets specific, and that is what most people miss. Before we dive in, I want to ask you something personally. Leave a comment below telling me your age, and whether you have noticed any changes in your memory over the past year. Be specific. Are you forgetting names? Misplacing items? Losing your train of thought mid-sentence? I read every single comment on this channel, and your answers genuinely shape what I cover next. This is your community, and your experiences matter more than you know. Now let's get into these 3 fruits, starting with number 3 and building toward the most powerful one. Coming in at number 3, and this one surprises almost everyone I tell it to, we are talking about kiwi fruit. Now I know what you are thinking. Kiwi seems like an odd choice for brain health, but stay with me because the research behind this is absolutely fascinating, and the mechanism through which it works is unlike anything else on this list. Here is what you need to understand about your aging brain. After the age of 65, your brain's ability to produce a critical neurotransmitter called serotonin declines by approximately 30 to 35% compared to younger adults. Serotonin is not just about mood, though that is important. Serotonin is absolutely essential for transitioning your brain into the deep sleep stages where memory consolidation and cellular repair occur. Without adequate serotonin production, you spend more time in light sleep and less time in the restorative deep sleep and REM sleep, where your brain literally cleans itself of toxic proteins and transfers short term memories into long term storage. Kiwi fruit contains an unusually high concentration of serotonin precursors, specifically an amino acid called tryptophan, combined with vitamin C, folate, and antioxidants that work synergistically to help your aging brain produce more serotonin naturally. But here's where it gets truly interesting. A study conducted by researchers at Taipei Medical University in Taiwan, involving adults aged 60 to 75, found that consuming 2 kiwi fruit 1 hour before bed increased total sleep time by an average of 42 minutes per night and improved sleep quality scores by 35% within just 4 weeks. But the cognitive benefits went beyond just sleeping longer. The participants who ate kiwi before bed showed measurable improvements in morning cognitive testing, specifically in the areas of verbal recall and working memory. Their brains were consolidating memories more efficiently during sleep because they were spending more time in the critical deep sleep stages where memory processing happens. Let me tell you about Robert, 68 years old, a retired electrician from Phoenix, Arizona. Robert came to me complaining of what he called mental fog, so persistent that he had stopped reading books altogether because he could not remember what happened in previous chapters. He was sleeping 6 hours a night, but waking up feeling mentally exhausted. When we ran his sleep quality assessment, he was spending less than 12% of his sleep time in deep sleep. For reference, healthy older adults should be getting at least 15 to 18%. I put Robert on a simple protocol. 2 kiwi fruit every evening, 90 minutes before his target bedtime, eaten with the skin on because that is where many of the beneficial compounds concentrate. Within 6 weeks, his deep sleep percentage had increased to 17%. But more importantly to Robert, he finished 3 novels in 2 months and told me he felt like his mind was sharp again for the first time in 5 years. Now here is how you implement this. 2 medium kiwi fruit, eaten whole if possible because the skin contains high concentrations of antioxidants, consumed 60 to 90 minutes before your target bedtime. That timing is critical because it allows the serotonin precursors to begin working just as you are preparing for sleep. Do not eat kiwi too close to bedtime because the slight natural sugar content could give you a small energy boost that delays sleep onset. Here is your synergy tip for kiwi. Pair your evening kiwi with a small handful of raw almonds, about 6 to 8 almonds. Almonds contain magnesium, which enhances the calming effect and supports the conversion of tryptophan into serotonin. Research from the Journal of Sleep Research found that this combination improved sleep onset time by an additional 12 minutes compared to kiwi alone. Number 3 is powerful, but number 2 is where the science gets truly extraordinary. And this is the one I promised you that 97% of seniors are eating at the wrong time. Moving to number 2, we are talking about blueberries. Now I know you have heard about blueberries for brain health before. The antioxidant benefits have been talked about for decades. But what almost nobody is discussing, what the research has quietly been building toward over the past 8 years, is the specific timing window that makes blueberries transform from a generally healthy fruit into a targeted brain repair activator. And that window is the 2 hours before sleep. Here is what is happening inside your brain right now if you are over 60. Your brain contains specialized cells called microglia. Think of them as your brain's immune system and cleanup crew. These microglia are supposed to clear away damaged proteins, dead cell fragments, and inflammatory molecules that accumulate during your waking hours. But after age 60, your microglia become what researchers call senescent. They stop cleaning and start causing inflammation themselves. This is one of the primary drivers of cognitive decline, and it is happening in your brain right now whether you feel it or not. Blueberries contain a specific class of compounds called anthocyanins, the pigments that give them their deep blue color. These anthocyanins have a remarkable ability to cross the blood-brain barrier, something most nutrients cannot do, and they specifically activate your senescent microglia, essentially waking them back up and telling them to start cleaning again. But here's the critical part that changes everything. A groundbreaking study from the University of Cincinnati, published in the European Journal of Nutrition, found that anthocyanins from blueberries reach peak concentration in the brain approximately 4 to 6 hours after consumption. And here's why that matters. Your brain does its deepest cleaning during sleep through a process called the glymphatic system, essentially a waste clearance system that becomes 10 times more active when you are sleeping than when you are awake. The researchers discovered that participants who consumed blueberries 2 hours before bed had anthocyanin concentrations peaking right in the middle of their deep sleep cycles, precisely when the glymphatic system was working hardest. The result was a synergistic effect where the anthocyanins were activating the microglia at the exact moment the brain's waste clearance system was running at maximum capacity. The cognitive improvements were remarkable. After 12 weeks, participants over 65 who consumed 1 cup of blueberries every evening, 2 hours before bed, showed a 38% improvement in delayed recall testing and a 41% improvement in executive function scores compared to the control group. Brain imaging showed measurable reductions in beta amyloid accumulation, the toxic protein associated with Alzheimer's disease. Let me tell you about Margaret, 71 years old, a retired school teacher from Tucson, Arizona. Margaret came to me with a stack of sticky notes she kept everywhere in her house, reminders for things she used to remember effortlessly. She described it as living in a constant fog. Her neurologist had run standard tests and told her it was normal aging, nothing to be done except watch and wait. I introduced Margaret to a nightly blueberry protocol. 1 cup of fresh or frozen blueberries every single evening, consumed exactly 2 hours before her bedtime of 10 p.m., so 8 p.m. every night like clockwork. I also had her pair them with 2 tablespoons of full-fat Greek yogurt to slow the sugar absorption and add beneficial probiotics that support the gut-brain axis. Within 90 days, Margaret's daughter called my office. She was crying. She said her mother had stopped using the sticky notes. She was remembering appointments, conversations, the names of her daughter's coworkers she had only met once. Her neurologist ran follow-up cognitive testing and noted the improvement in his chart. He told Margaret whatever she was doing, keep doing it. Now here's exactly how to implement this. 1 cup of blueberries, fresh or frozen, makes no difference as the anthocyanin content is nearly identical. Consume 2 hours before your target bedtime. If you go to bed at 10 p.m., eat your blueberries at 8 p.m. If you go to bed at 11 p.m., eat them at 9 p.m. The timing is not flexible. This is when the science says they work best. You can eat them plain, mix them with unsweetened yogurt, blend them into a small smoothie with a tablespoon of almond butter, or even gently warm them to release more of the anthocyanins. What you cannot do is cook them at high heat or add sugar, both of which degrade the beneficial compounds. Here is your synergy tip for blueberries. Add 1 teaspoon of ground flaxseed to your evening blueberries. Flaxseed contains alpha-linolenic acid, an omega-3 fat that enhances the absorption of anthocyanins across the blood-brain barrier. A study from Tufts University found that this combination increased brain tissue anthocyanin levels by an additional 27% compared to blueberries alone. And now we arrive at number 1, the single most important nighttime fruit every person over 60 needs to understand for brain cell repair. This is what the research has been quietly building toward and what most preventive neurology conversations never reach. This is the one, number 1 on this list, and I want you to pay very close attention to this because the mechanism here encompasses everything we have talked about and goes beyond it. We are talking about tart cherries, specifically Montmorency tart cherries. Not sweet cherries, not cherry juice cocktail loaded with added sugar. We are talking about actual tart cherries or pure tart cherry concentrate. The reason this sits at the top of this list is not because it does one thing exceptionally well. It is because the body of evidence surrounding it encompasses virtually every mechanism of nighttime brain repair simultaneously. Tart cherries are one of the only natural food sources of melatonin that actually contains enough to have a measurable physiological effect. But here's what makes this different from taking a melatonin supplement. When you take a melatonin pill, you are getting an isolated compound that floods your system all at once, often in doses 10 to 50 times higher than what your brain would naturally produce. This can leave you feeling groggy the next morning and actually disrupts your natural melatonin production over time. Tart cherries contain melatonin in the exact form and dose that mimics what your pineal gland would naturally produce, along with cofactors that help your body metabolize it properly. A landmark study from Louisiana State University following adults aged 68 to 85 found that consuming tart cherry juice or whole tart cherries in the evening increased sleep duration by an average of 84 minutes per night. But the cognitive benefits were even more impressive. Participants showed a 53% improvement in memory consolidation tasks and a 47% reduction in neuroinflammatory markers in cerebral spinal fluid after 8 weeks. But tart cherries do something else that is absolutely critical for aging brains. They contain some of the highest concentrations of anthocyanins of any food on Earth, even higher than blueberries on a per gram basis. But they also contain unique polyphenols called isorhamnetin and quercetin that specifically protect the hippocampus, the memory center of your brain, from oxidative damage. Here is what is happening to your hippocampus right now if you are over 70. The hippocampus naturally shrinks with age, losing approximately 0.5% of its volume every year after age 65. That might not sound like much, but over 10 years, that is a 5% reduction in the part of your brain most responsible for forming new memories. This is why names become harder to remember, why you walk into rooms and forget why you went there, why recent events feel fuzzy while childhood memories remain crystal clear. Research from the University of Delaware using MRI brain imaging found that participants over 65 who consumed tart cherry concentrate daily for 6 months not only stopped hippocampal shrinkage, but showed slight increases in hippocampal volume, averaging 1.2%. Their brains were literally growing in the area responsible for memory formation. Let me tell you about Harold, 76 years old, from Memphis, Tennessee. Harold's wife brought him to see me because he had started getting lost driving to familiar places. He had been an engineer for 40 years, a man who prided himself on his sharp mind and attention to detail. Now he was forgetting conversations he had just had and repeating the same stories multiple times in a single day. His wife was terrified. His primary care doctor had mentioned the possibility of early dementia. I put Harold on what I call the triple fruit protocol, but with tart cherries as the foundation. Every single evening at 8:30 p.m., Harold drank 4 ounces of pure tart cherry concentrate mixed with 8 ounces of water. No added sugar, no cherry juice cocktail. Pure Montmorency tart cherry concentrate. At 9 p.m., he ate his cup of blueberries with Greek yogurt. And 2 hours before bed, he had his 2 kiwi fruit. Within 4 months, Harold's wife called my office in tears. She said Harold had driven to 3 different locations that week without getting lost, including a new restaurant he had never been to before. He was finishing crossword puzzles again. He was remembering the names of their neighbors' grandchildren. His primary care doctor ran follow-up cognitive testing and noted significant improvement across multiple domains. His wife told me she felt like she had her husband back. Now here is exactly how to implement tart cherries for maximum brain benefit. You have 2 options. Option 1 is whole frozen tart cherries, 1 cup consumed 2 hours before bedtime. Option 2, which is more concentrated and what I personally use, is pure tart cherry concentrate. You want to look for a product that is 100% Montmorency tart cherry with no added sugars or other juices. The dose is 2 tablespoons of concentrate mixed with water, consumed 90 minutes to 2 hours before bed. The timing is critical because you want the melatonin to begin taking effect as you are preparing for sleep, and you want the anthocyanins and polyphenols to reach peak brain concentration during your deep sleep cycles when repair is happening. Do not consume tart cherries in the morning or afternoon. The melatonin content, while natural and gentle, can make you feel drowsy at inappropriate times. Here is your synergy tip for tart cherries, and this is important. Pair your evening tart cherries with a small piece of dark chocolate, specifically 1 square of 70% cacao or higher dark chocolate. Dark chocolate contains flavonoids that enhance the absorption of the polyphenols in tart cherries and also provides a small amount of theobromine, which, paradoxically, improves sleep quality by promoting relaxation without sedation. Research from the Journal of Agricultural and Food Chemistry found that this combination increased brain tissue concentrations of protective polyphenols by 31% compared to tart cherries alone. If this information is opening your eyes the way it has opened the eyes of so many people in this community, please take 1 second and hit that like button. And if you are not yet subscribed, I invite you to join us. I publish evidence-based content specifically for people in their 60s, 70s, and beyond every single week, and it is completely free. Subscribe and ring that bell so you never miss a video. This community has grown into something truly special, and your participation makes it stronger. Now let me bring this all together for you because I know you are probably wondering whether you need all 3 fruits or whether one is enough. Here's what I tell my patients. If you are only going to do one thing tonight, start with the tart cherries at number 1. They provide the most comprehensive benefit addressing sleep quality, melatonin production, anthocyanin delivery, and hippocampal protection all in one food. If you want to take it to the next level, Add the blueberries at number 2. The combination of tart cherry melatonin optimizing your sleep architecture and blueberry anthocyanins activating your brain's cleanup systems creates a synergistic effect that neither fruit provides alone. And if you are serious about giving your brain every possible advantage, incorporate all three, with the kiwi ensuring you are getting enough deep sleep for the repair processes to fully activate. But here's what you need to understand. These three fruits represent something extraordinary when you look at the complete picture. They cost almost nothing. You can find every single one at any grocery store in America. They require no prescription. They have no side effects other than better sleep and sharper memory. And every single one of them has been studied by real researchers at real institutions whose references I have placed for you in the description below this video. I want to speak to you directly for a moment. If you are over 60 or 70, you may sometimes feel that the window for meaningful cognitive improvement has closed, that the memory loss is inevitable, that the fog is just part of getting older and there is nothing to be done. I want you to hear this clearly. The research says otherwise. It is never, and I mean never, too late to give your brain what it has been waiting for. Your brain, even at 75, even at 80, even at 85, retains a remarkable capacity to repair, to regenerate, and to form new neural connections when you give it the right compounds at the right time. Eleanor, who I told you about at the beginning, the woman who could not remember her grandson's name, she is now 75. She follows this exact protocol every single evening. She tells me her memory is better now than it was 5 years ago. Robert, the electrician who stopped reading, he just finished his 14th book this year. Margaret, the retired teacher, she volunteers at her local library now helping children learn to read. Harold drives himself to his volunteer work 3 days a week. These are not exceptional cases. These are not rare genetic outliers. These are ordinary people in their late 60s, 70s, and early 80s who decided to give their brains what the science says they need. And their brains responded exactly the way the research predicted they would. The goal here is not just preventing cognitive decline, though that matters. The goal is maintaining the sharpness, the clarity, the ability to remember the name of your grandchild when they walk through the door, the ability to finish a conversation without losing your train of thought, the ability to learn new things and remember where you put your car keys, and wake up feeling mentally clear instead of foggy. That is not too much to ask for. That is your dignity. That is your independence. That is your life. If this video helped you today, if you learned something that you are going to implement tonight, please subscribe right now. It costs you nothing, and it means the world to this channel and to the community we are building here together. Share this video with someone you love, a spouse, a sibling, a friend who has mentioned memory concerns or sleep problems. You could be giving them information that changes their cognitive trajectory for the next 20 years. Leave me a comment right now. Which of these three fruits surprised you most? Was it the kiwi, the blueberries, or the tart cherries? And tell me your age, because this conversation belongs to you and your experiences shape what I cover next. I read every single comment. Everyone, your story matters to me. Hit the notification bell so you never miss a new video. I have content coming in the next 2 weeks about the 5 worst foods for brain aging that most seniors eat every single day without knowing the damage they are causing. You will not want to miss that. I am Dr. William Lee, and I will see you in the next video. Take care of yourself and your beautiful brain. It is never too late. You are worth it.